إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة دلالة وكل دلالة في النار. Barely all the praise and all of the glorification and all of our dedication, it should be for Allah and Allah alone. I publicly, I inwardly, and I outwardly declare and attest and profess that there is la ma'bud bihaqqin illallah ta'ala. There is no deity, no essence, no entity, no ideology that is better than la ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Unwan al-yawm, the topic for today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is tafsir and coffee. Tafsir and coffee. As I was at a very famous Yemeni coffee house over in Ridgeway Mall, I'm not sure if I pronounce it right, Matahari I think it's called. I was having a discussion with a brother. He asked me where I'm from and he said, do you read Arabic? I said, I'm still trying to read Arabic. And we started to discuss and he said, mashallah, tabarakallah, this is impressive that you're a new Muslim and you're from the native people and you became a Muslim. Oh, mashallah, so what are you studying? I said, right now I'm looking up some tafsir. And he said to me at that time, MashaAllah, you need the Arabic language, awwal and shay, to learn the Quran, is you need the Arabic language. I said, yes and no. Yes and no. The Arabic language is important, ya ikhwan. But when we look at what the Mufassireen from amongst the great scholars, and from amongst them is the grandfather of tafsir, which in our time right now, there is a movement, ya ikhwan, where people are telling you not to go to the grandfather of tafsir, but to leave him alone and follow other tafsir, ya ikhwan. We're talking about Imam al-Tabari, rahimahullahu wa rahmatan wasi'ah. He wrote a very, very powerful book. And Imam al-Tabari, rahimahullah, he was a mufassir, he was a muhaddith, and he was a mu'akhir. He was a historian, ya ikhwan, showing of that high ilk of knowledge that he had. So, ya ikhwan, I was saying to the brother that first, Quran bil Quran. And there's many ayat. We don't have time to go through all of them, inshallah ta'ala. We'll have to make a second khutbah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa qala Allahu ta'ala. Allah, the blessed, the exalted. He went on to say, Alladhina ataynahum al-kitab yatlunahu haqqa tilawati. Ulaika yu'minuna bih. Wa man yakfur bihi fa ulaika humal khasirun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala went on to say, those who have been given the book, recite it with its true recitation, its true recital. And whoever disbelieves in it, it is they who are the losers. So we need to unpack this, ya ikhwan. We have people now that say, well, my sheikh said the ayah means this. We say, but Ibn Abbas, he said that. Qatada said that. Mujahid said that. Ibn Mas'ud said that. I say, yeah, but my Shaykh, he said this. Ya Ikhwan, you have to understand that there's asanid as-sahiha that Imam Tabari put in his tafsir, going back to the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, and the Itba'a Tabi'een, radiallahu ajma'een, Ya Ikhwan. So if you have a tafsir with authentic chain back to them, cash it, take it to the bank, you're good to go. So we find that Ibn Abbas, rahimahullah ta'ala, he went on to say that this verse means that they follow it with its true adherence. And they make lawful what Allah He makes lawful. And they prohibit what Allah prohibits. And they also do not distort it with their own weird explanation, Ya Ikhwan. We are living in a time right now, Ya Ikhwan, where people are saying, nah, the verse doesn't mean that. It means this. So for me, as a new Muslim who likes to read, I go back and I look and say, well, you know what? Imam Baghawi, he didn't say that. Ibn Kathir, he didn't say that. Tabari didn't say that. Ibn Abi Hatim, he didn't say that. These are from the great scholars from the past. They're not saying what these new people are saying, Ya Ikhwan. Because just because someone speaks the Arabic language and they may have a PhD in the science, Ya Ikhwan, there's a difference between an alim rabbani, a scholar, and there's a difference between someone who is from amongst the mustashrikun, the Orientalists, Ya Ikhwan. And it seems now that the Orientalists, Ya Ikhwan, they have now put their foot in the dawah, Ya Ikhwan, and they're confusing thousands of people, Ya Ikhwan, with the crazy tafsir. So we look at, Ya Ikhwan, we want to talk about the mainstream, and in English it's called exegesis. Tafsir al-ma'thur, this is what we're talking about. It's based upon, Ya Ikhwan, the first principle, Quran with Quran. Number 2, Quran by the Sunnah. Number 3, Quran by aqwal as-sahaba, what the Sahaba said. Number 4, Ya Ikhwan, the lugha. You got to know the Arabic language, Ya Ikhwan. It's really important. So we find, Ya Ikhwan, that when we look at tafsir, the first complete tafsir, kamilan, Imam Jabir al-Tabari, rahimahullahu wa rahmatun wasiyah. And I seen a very, very famous da'i in North America. He said that this tafsir is very dry. All you're going to hear is Haddathana ibn Fulan wa ibn Fulan wa ibn Fulan wa ibn Fulan wa ibn Fulan. He said the ayah means this. This is what our religion is based upon, Ya Ikhwan. Asanid as-sahiha, as-silsila al-dhahabiyya, chains of narration going back. Our religion is based upon sound evidence, Ya Ikhwan, based upon those that came before from the original generations. Yes, brother, but you know, that's a medieval or a very long time. Well, alhamdulillah, we're happy to stick with what the original scholars said. So brothers and sisters, we warn you to be careful of modern day non-mainstream tafsirs amongst the philosophers and the later generations. They say that ta'wil means explaining the word to mean other than its apparent meaning. Allah said this, I said, nah, it means that. Allah meant this, nah, Allah meant that. Should not Allah Ta'ala know what He meant when He said it? And the Prophet ﷺ practiced it, and the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they practiced it and understood it that way. Ya Ikhwan, we have people nowadays say, nah, it doesn't mean that. And we have people that 1,000 years ago, they said, this is what the verse means. It shows, Ya Ikhwan, we have to be really careful. Going on, Ya Ikhwan, he goes on to say, a word to mean other than the apparent meaning. This is what they call the opinion-based ta'wil. This type of ta'wil was used to interpret the book of Allah with esoteric meaning. Very careful, Ya Ikhwan. Very careful. This is known as al-ma'na al-batin, Ya Ikhwan. This is esoteric underlying. So one of the sheikhs, Ya Ikhwan, he did a deep dive, a deep bahith on tafsir, and he went on to say that he went through more than 100 concise books of tafsir. And he said, until today, it means he's still researching, I didn't find any of the Prophet's companions had performed an opinion-based tafsir or ta'wil of the verses of the Quran. And he brought the evidence, Ya Ikhwan, showing that we should be scared to speak about the book of Allah without knowledge. He brought the ayah, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ الْعِلْمِ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا, Ya Ikhwan. This is very scary, my dear brothers. We're going to be questioned, Ya Ikhwan. What we said, what we heard, Ya Ikhwan. What we said, what we heard. How can we speak about the book of Allah, Ya Ikhwan, and we don't have the knowledge, Ya Ikhwan? So ya ikhwan, this ta'wil as tafsir in Arabic, the scholars, they went on to say, the majority of them that do tafsir al-ma'thur, that taking things back to its original, that leads to the final meaning, as Allah Ta'ala going to say, هَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى تَأْوِيلَهُ. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, do they await, accept its result, ya ikhwan? And the other point is, the second meaning is of ta'wil, and the Arabic language means the interpretation, a ta'wil, an Islamic legislation. The proof for that, the ta'wil refers to tafsir, stems from the verse, سَأُنَبِّئُكَ بِتَأْوِيلِ مَا لَمْ يَسْتَطِيعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. So we look at this, ya ikhwan, these ayats, we find, ya ikhwan, that people nowadays, they have issue with the book of Allah. They're not happy with what Allah and His Messenger, what they have given us, what has been sent down to us. They say, you know what, we need to add a few more things to Islam. We need to delete a few more things from Islam. We need to make Islam modern. And me and the new Muslims like Abu Hafsa, we say, go ahead, O Ummah Muhammad. If you don't want the pure, raw, uncut Quran and Sunnah, you leave, no problem. Because there'll be new people better than me and Abu Hafsa that are going to come in and going to practice the religion the way that it was sent down from Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is tafsir? The term is derived from fassara, which means to clarify, to uncover, to show, to explain in detail. Also, asfara, meaning to uncover. As the Arabs say, asfarata shams. Ya ikhwan, the uncovering of the sun. The sun became uncovered. So we look at the situation, my dear brothers and sisters. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and he said in his book explaining tafsir, and he has a very beautiful book, he brought the ayah, وَلَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنُ تَفْسِيرًا. And they do not come to you with an argument except that we bring to you the truth and the best explanation, ya ikhwan. So we're living in a time now where people will come with kalam fadi. And they'll say, brother, you know, you don't really have to fast, brother. Brother, riba doesn't mean riba in North America. You can take riba in North America. As I've heard one older brother say, yeah, it's okay, mashallah. You can do a little haram. You can maybe even get a girlfriend here in this society. If you're from another Muslim world, you come here. If you want to get a girlfriend, we've heard statements like this, ya ikhwan. So is it only the Quran and the Sunnah only exists in the land of the Muslims, but where in the land of the non-Muslims it doesn't exist? These are questions, ya ikhwan, that make us go gray and make us scratch our head. The first Khalifa Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, he was asked about a verse of the Quran, and this is very powerful, ya ikhwan. He went on to say that he withheld from speaking about the verse without knowledge, and he said, which sky will cover me, and which earth will allow me to walk over it if I speak about the book of Allah without any knowledge? This is the best Muslim that ever walked the earth after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they wanted him just to give his opinion. And he said, if I don't have any knowledge, which sky will protect me? Which earth will shelter me from falling down into the pit of hellfire, ya ikhwan, if I speak about the book of Allah and I don't have any knowledge? A man came to the Prophet's companion, Abdullah ibn Umar, and he said, what about the opinion of Fulan wa Alan, Sheikh so-and-so and Sheikh so-and-so? And the opinion of Sheikh so-and-so and Sheikh so-and-so. He went on to say, Ibn Umar, this is the son of Umar ibn Khatab, he went on to say, put your opinion in your pocket. Put your opinion in your pocket. We don't need your opinion about the book of Allah. Ana ra'i, I have an opinion. And ya ikhwan is a very close brother to me, Arabic speaking brother from the land of the Muslims. If you see him amongst the people, you'll just think he's just a simple worshiper, but wallahi, he's very knowledgeable, ya ikhwan. He told me that he went to a conference about 8-9 years ago, and he was sitting in the back reading his Quran like he always does. And the other sheikh who happened to be giving the lecture was another Arabic sheikh, and at the end, there was Q&A. So he went up to the sheikh and he asked him in Arabic, Min aina laka hadha? Where do you get this from, brother, this understanding? He said, Ana ra'i. Ana sheikh, ana ra'i. The brother right then, he opened up Al-Baghawi for the verse, Open up At-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, Ibn Abi Hatim, and three or four more other tafsirs on the spot. And he said, none of the great scholars from the past said what you're saying, brother. Make tawbah to Allah. Where did you get this tafsir from? So my dear brothers, we're warning you, there's people now popular that are trying to say stuff like Ya'juj or Ma'juj is a fairy tale. They're goblins. They're just weird zombies walking around. Be careful of what the people say. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah. Hamdin kathirin tayyiban mubarakin fi kama yuhibbu rabbuna wa yarda. From the famous scholars of mainstream Tafsir Ma'thur, like we said before, the grandfather of Tafsir, Imam al-Baghawi. Then you find those on that same type of methodology. You find Ibn Kathir, which is well known and spread. And in our time, Sheikh As-Sa'di, who lived 100 years ago, he took that book, made it malakhis, so it's easy to read in our times. Also, Ya Ikhwan, Sadiq Hassan Khan, Sheikh Shanqiti, Ibn Abi Hatim, and a few others like Imam Baghawi, Ya Ikhwan. So, Ya Ikhwan, the use of tafsir, it helps to elucidate the meaning of the Quran and derive the legal rulings. Primary, we need authentic narrations, Ya Ikhwan. Authentic narrations that are free from deviations and errors. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu went on to say, when one of us would learn 10 verses of the Quran, we would not go beyond that until we knew their meaning and then we acted upon them. This was the methodology of the early Muslims. It wasn't about how quick can you memorize the Quran in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then we throw a big party for you, mashallah. No, it's understanding, tatbiqiha, practicing, implementing what you learn. Imam Ayyub as-Sakhdiyani, he said that his Sheikh Abu Kilaba said to him, "O Ayyub, memorize from me 4 things." And he only listed one here in the book. Do not speak about the Quran with your opinion. This is in the Usul al-Sunnah by Imam Ibn Battah and Usul al-Din. So we find, my dear brothers, Tafsir al-Ma'thur. It is the way by narrations. So-and-so said, that so-and-so said, that so-and-so said, that the Sahaba said, such and such and such and such about the verse. And this is better than what is known as a Tafsir al-Ra'i. Tafsir based upon an opinion, ya ikhwan. Someone's personal opinion, ya ikhwan. And inshallah, ending it, my dear brothers, the first source, the explanation of the Quran by the Quran, Imam Shatibi, he went on to say that the best way to explain the Quran is by the Quran, then the Sunnah, then the companions, then the successors, then the Arabic language, ya ikhwan. Also we find, ya ikhwan, Ibn Abi Hatim, they said similar things, as well as Imam al-Baghawi and some of the other scholars. So ya ikhwan, when you go to look up a verse, these are some of the names. There's more than that. Look for Ibn Mas'ud, see what he said about the verse. Look what Ibn Abbas he said about the verse. Ali ibn Abi Talib, and some other of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. There's tafsir going back to the Sahaba. How can we take Fulan wa Alan in our time statement about the Book of Allah when we have tafsir direct chains going back to the Sahaba Ridwanullahi ajma'in? And the following thing, ya ikhwan, is on the authority of Fudail ibn Iyad, where he said the Quran has only been revealed to be acted upon. Here's the point. Yet the people have taken its recitation as the implementation, meaning like a babagha. You just recite it, that's it, mashallah, mashallah. No, recite it, digest it, practice it, call to it, be patient upon it, ya ikhwan. And also, this is, ya ikhwan, it is from Imam al-Ujurri in his book, and it's really important, ya ikhwan, Akhlaq al-Hamalat al-Quran. Imam Suyuti wrote a book called At-Tibyan, Hamalat al-Quran, and also Imam Nawawi and some other mashaykh, they wrote similar books, At-Tibyan al-Hamalat al-Quran. Those etiquettes of those who are carrying and explaining the Quran, ya ikhwan. How is it possible, my dear brothers, that we have people that are hufad of the Quran that are stealing, robbing, cheating, lying, doing horrible things because we're not really understanding or practicing the Book of Allah. May Allah help me and may Allah help you. May Allah help our women. May Allah help our children. May Allah help us to follow in the footsteps of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Majid. My dear brothers, be careful where you get your information from and which tafsir you read. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. أقيم الصلاة. بسم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح.